class or those who are into politics were part of the main. We may have main and other targets, but the main targets are politicians and people who would want to find a reason to vote. If you want to know how the political system works in this country, sometimes you are curious. You hear about certain things that are done, certain official explanations are given. But if you'd want to know what really informs those decisions, you would realize that the country Ghana is not often governed from the Flagstaff House. Sometimes
or Jubilee House.
Sometimes certain people in bedrooms, at beer bars, influence some of the most critical decisions that are taken about this country. Even chiefs.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you want to know some of these things, this book helps to explain how things are done on the corridors of power.
Now you have what, 33 chapters in here. You've split the book into 6 parts.
Yes.
And I'm not at the end of it yet, but I noticed that your last chapter is called "Will You Vote for Mahama Again?"
Yes, this is important because if you look at the prologue, it is titled Protagonist, Antagonist, and the Narrator. I decided to take it from the viewpoint of 3 people, myself being the narrator, and there's this young, brilliant man. He's now in Oxford studying, Isaac Azure. At the time he completed the accountancy program, the professional course, he was the youngest to graduate from this country, the first to finish in 2 years. And when he went to do law, he graduated as the overall best student at the Ghana School of Law. Very, very intelligent. So this person, like myself, voted for Mahama in 2012. Then in 2016, we both prayed that he lost the election. So getting to the conclusion, I actually invited him for a meeting when I was doing this book. So we met. So the last question we asked ourselves was, will you vote for Mahama again? And that is, it contains very interesting analysis from his point, my point, and what voting for Mahama Akufo-Addo in 2016 would mean for this country.
Wow. Now, you describe him as the antagonist, Isaac Azure Danso. In plain language, that would be the bad guy, the killer. Why?
Well, this is somebody on the 6th of December 2016. He went on Facebook and put up a post that if you have still not decided who to vote for, then go and vote against President Mahama. And my reason is that he did not exercise discretion, good discretion or judgment, by accepting the fourth gift. That was his reason. And this is somebody who was working in the public sector to be able to go out boldly and campaign against the president. That for me was bold. And interestingly, both of us were recipients of the National Youth Achievers Award in 2012. That award was instituted by then Vice President Mahama, but when the process was done, he was president. So we met President Mahama for the first time together at that award, and we both admired him greatly. And within 4 years, it was my work he was citing against Mahama.
Interesting.
So our views and positions had changed significantly. So if you look at the prologue, I detailed how we got to know the man, why we admired him so much. So if this person is now campaigning against the very person he admired and voted for, then he was the protagonist here.
I see
where
I
was the narrator.
I see how you developed that there. Okay, now Dr. Alidu, you've read this book, and you're quite uniquely placed. You're a lecturer of political science. So, how important is this book?
Thank you so much, Kodo, and good morning to your listeners. As an individual, when I pick a book, I look at 3 important things. I look at the author, the subject matter, and the content.
Right.
So if you look at this book, the author has been described by Kweku Sechado as a very bold journalist. a journalist who rejects neutral journalism. I'm just quoting him. In his forward to his book, Voice of Conscience. He's not only a bold person or individual character, but he's courageous. He's controversial, very controversial. Yet he's very humble. And this is not his first book. So if you look at the character, the personality itself, it attracts you to the work. But two, I also look at the work of that person. Manasseh has done a lot of work when it comes to fighting injustices and corruption in this country. You can look at you can remember the Jida scandal, SADA, the Ford gift, militia in the heart of the nation, the World Cup kickbacks saga, the Kolibo Teaching Hospital story, and several other stories. So apart from the character, the works speak for itself. And the last bit is the recognition. People have done great works, but have they been recognized? He has been recognized. I think overall best journalist for West Africa 2018, best anti-corruption award for West Africa 2018, investigative journalist for West Africa 2017, Ghana Journalists Association, I think 2011. And I can count, I think I counted up to 19 or more.
You should see him sitting here quietly,
those kind of
soaking in the accolades as if they are talking about someone else.
Of those kind of recognitions.
They are reading my tribute because I've told my wife that when I die, there shouldn't be any tribute at my funeral.
You are hearing them all while you're alive, right?
So
Yes.
even in academia, we can critique or praise a work based on the background of the author.
Yeah.
So if I'm a political scientist and I'm writing something about psychology, and maybe I use political science concepts to analyze a psychological concept, phenomenon, people may say, oh, though he did well, but his background as a political scientist has actually limited him to be able to do a very nuanced analysis of the issue.
Yeah.
So the author and the author's background is very important. It can give so much credibility to a work. It can also put people off from reading the work. So if you look at the author, it's somebody who is well placed to be able to write such a work. Then the second thing I look at is the subject matter. What is the focus of the book? What's the book talking about? The character in this book is a very important person. One, he is the first Article 66 president of this country. Since the beginning of the fourth, not even the fourth, but since independence.
In the history of
the
Ghana.
first Article 66 president of the Republic.
Yeah.
Second, he's the first president to lose a re-election bid in this country. Third, he's the first president to have his election results challenged in court. Fourth, he's the first northern president to have completed his elected term. Fifth, he's the first president within the Fourth Republic where we had a turnover and there wasn't a runoff. Sixth, he's the first president in this country who was actually going for his second term in office, seeking a second term in office, whilst his party was going for the third term. And you know, in Ghana, we had this issue of two-term kind of thing in the first of Fourth Republic. After 2 years, then that's the end. A new party must come in. So you cannot write the political history of this country without speaking to President John Dramani Mahama.
You know what? We're going to hold that thought of why the subject matter of the 4th John was so important. When we come back, we'll hear about the content from Dr. Seydou Alidou. And then we'll explore some of the other issues. You know, the style of this book, very conversational, you know. We'll talk about what insights Manasseh got when he sat and interviewed the former president for this book. Fascinating stuff. Don't miss a moment of it. That's all coming up. But first, let's have the Joy Business Minute.
Hello, it's the Joy Business Minute. My name is Daryl. The Ghana Revenue Authority has disclosed that it is in the process of automating the payment of value-added tax (VAT). This follows some reports that VAT receipts have been falsified by some businesses. The Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies is asking for legal processes to be fast-tracked to enable depositors whose funds are locked up with collapsed institutions to receive a refund. Some savings and loans companies are in court to challenge the decision of the regulator to close them down. The Takoradi port this year recorded a total port traffic of 9.9 million metric tons as against 8.2 million last year, representing 21% increase in total port traffic. It also recorded a rise of 2.2 million metric tons in exports, representing a 42% increase. Black Friday discounts and bad weather have been blamed for a decline in Boxing Day shoppers, with retail analysts reporting a fall in the number of people heading for the sales. That's your Joy Business Minute.
Morning Show. For life, generally insurance, healthcare, and finances. Look up to Geico for solutions. Look up to Geico for solutions. Geico, we cushion you for life. Geico, we cushion you for life. Geico, 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 we cushion you for life.
Contact Glyco on 030-221-8500 or 020-2222-113.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation. Over the past 45 years, we've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products, and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
Welcome to Shandonia Gardens, the new face of ideal housing and infrastructure facilities in Ghana. We're located adjacent the Accra-Tema Highway, just 15 kilometers from the Accra Mall, right behind the East Legon Hills. That's convenience. Our premium service plots are in a 100-acre gated community with well-engineered infrastructural facilities, occasional patrols, and 24/7 surveillance. That's security. We also offer you fully titled plots of various sizes with flexible payment plans. That's affordability and flexibility. Talk about a number of facilities like the tennis court, a mini golf course, a gym, parks and playgrounds, 24/7 water and electricity, as well as well-engineered drainage systems and tarred roads. Shandonia Gardens guarantees you a home that's fit for your lifestyle.
Call us on 0302-795-323
or visit www.shandoniaproperties.com. Shandonia Garden, where your dream lands.
533, 533, just dial 533. Talk all day, browse all night when you dial 533. 533, 533, just dial 533. This Christmas on Airtel Tigo, just dial 533.
This Christmas, 533 is your bag of offers all in one place on Airtel Tigo. Simply dial *533# and get 3 gigabytes of Sikakoko data for just 10 Ghana cedis. Unlimited Airtel Tigo call minutes at 60 pesos and unlimited international calls at 20 cedis and so much more. Only on Airtel Tigo. *533# is your Ghana code for amazing offers on Airtel Tigo.
This Christmas on Airtel Tigo, *533#.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
I be you know Voltic. Like 20 years now, me and my buddies, it be Voltic with the take quench when I test, as with the pick when I move for town. Shy! But right there, the bottle change. Same Voltic inside some fresh bottle pub, baby. We change inside Jack. The new 500ml Voltic eco-friendly bottle has 7% less plastic. Same water quality, same Voltic you've known for years. Enjoy, twist, recycle. Voltic, naturally. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
It's the last day of work for the year. Time to be happier. You spot a bin 20 meters away and kick some crumpled paper. It goes in. You're happy. You go home, turn on DSTV, and the biggest match of the Premier League is on. You remember you can slow down, pause, and rewind every moment of the action. You feel happier than a kid with 365 birthdays.
If football makes you happy, our Soccer League's latest series and attention-gripping kids content will make you even happier. Happy holidays from DSTV with great entertainment from only 40 Ghana cedis a month. Get a fully installed DSTV Zappa decoder with 1 month access subscription by just visiting the nearest accredited dealer or calling 0302-740-540. Terms and conditions apply. DSTV. Feel every moment.
At UBA, we pay close attention to your every detail, making you feel like a VIP every time you visit us. We have the strongest financial and technological background, making us #1 in risk management. We have offices in New York, Paris, and London, and presence in 20 countries across Africa. UBA has successfully operated in Ghana for almost 15 years, with 28 branches throughout the country. Visit us today at a branch near you. UBA, Africa's global bank.
Super Morning Show.
Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
You're welcome back. It's 8 minutes past 9 on the Super Morning Show. And our guest on today's agenda, Manasseh Azure Awini. He's the author of the new book, The Fourth John, Reign, Rejection and Rebound. It's all about John Dramani Mahama picking some very interesting aspects of his political life and making a massive book out of it. Very interesting read. I find it very hard to put down. And we're talking about it with Dr. Seydou Alidu, who has joined Manasseh in the studio for a bit of a review, if you like, of the book. And we're learning some interesting things. Manasseh mentioned that his book centers around an antagonist, a protagonist, and a narrator. He, Manasseh, is the narrator. John Dramani Mahama is the protagonist. But do you remember the name of the antagonist? Maybe if we have time, we'll open the phone lines in a bit, and the first person to give us the answer, the correct answer to that question, will win a copy of Manasseh's The Fourth John. All right? There you go. Okay, now if you're thinking of getting a new phone, then here's the best deal for you. From today, you can just walk into any MTN office or service center, pick up a classy new phone from a range of selected Samsung devices, and pay as low as 36 cedis every month for 6 to 12 months. So now you can pick your favorite device and pay later thanks to MTN in partnership with EcoBank and Samsung. Remember, terms and conditions apply. MTN, we did for you everywhere you go. All right, now, real quick, you can be part of the most Afrocentric event of the year, Afrochella. Join the world-class artists as they perform this December 28 at the Elwak Sports Stadium and connect with all Ghana has to offer. Get your tickets from Cupcake Boutique, Airport Shell, Pinkberry, or just call 020-229-7929. Surfline is the official Wi-Fi service partner for your Afrochella experience this Saturday. See you there. Right then, 10 past 9 on the Super Morning Show and Joy 99.7 FM, and Manasseh and Dr. Seydou Alidu are talking about the Fourth John. Now, Manasseh, you actually interviewed the former president. Actually, before we come to that, Dr. Alidu was expanding on his 3 reasons why this book is important. Let's finish that. You talked about the author. You talked about the subject matter. Tell us about the content.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Kojo. So I think the content is one of the most important things you look out for in a book. The author can be a good guy. The subject matter can be interesting, but the content could be disappointing. Mm-hmm. But if you take a look at this book, actually, I've read it from cover to cover.
Wow.
So it says a lot of political precedence for the governing of this country moving forward. Mm. So in law, they have something they call precedence. and maybe decisions made by courts and other judicial review, and how that governs subsequent decisions that are made within the legal family.
Right.
Or so in politics, we also have political precedents, things that individuals or governments might have done in the right way or in the wrong way, and its implication on governance moving forward. So I think after every regime, if we are able to take stock and account for what people do, governance in this country will never be the same. But once we leave it to just people's discussion and opinion about what happened, it melts in the so partisan politics that we play in this country. But once we are able to document it, it serves as a historical record, but also a guide that we can draw lessons from. I think in the context of academia, it is a very important book. In every political science department of a country, you need to understand the political history of the country. So if you are doing political science in the US, for example, there will definitely be a course on American politics. If you are doing political science in Britain, there will be a course on British politics. If you are doing political science in Ghana, there will be a course on Ghanaian politics. I think in my department, I did it, politics in Ghana 1, politics in Ghana 2. Definitely, it sets the context for you to appreciate how far we have come, the present circumstances and the impact of the past, and how we can predict or inform the future. And I think this book sits within that particular context. It gives us a historical overview, the circumstantial challenges that President John Dramani Mahama faced. He's not God. So it is a kind of, this book is a kind of political edge. You are looking at the circumstantial challenges and circumstances that inform the kind of decisions that he took as a person. He's presented in some part of the book as a very bold, charismatic person who takes independent decisions. Even if he knows that things are not working well for him, he's prepared to resign and forfeit the position based on his own principles. But if you also look at that personal independent character against the scandals that had occurred in this regime, then you realize that governance is not just the figurehead. It is a kind of synergistic relationship between institutions and then the agents within the institutions. But at the end of the day, if this agency and the institutions fail, the blame is laid squarely on the doorstep of the leader.
Rightly so.
So definitely, this book kind of set that electoral edge for people to draw serious lessons from. And I think whether you are NDC or MPP or CPP or GDP or whatever, this kind of writings help inform, it helps shape, it helps guide policy moving forward. So definitely it's not just Manasseh when he began said he wrote it purposely for the politicians. I think this book goes beyond just the ordinary politician. I think students of politics, students of history, academia, policymakers, practitioners, civil society, we all have something to learn and benefit from this book. So the context was set at a UPSA library in a very you see, every academic book seeks to solve a problem. So even in academic work, we have the problem of statement. What purpose will the book serve? And that purpose was set within a very harmless library, which is a symbol of academic research. And then you see how the plots unfold in a more academic but very beautiful narrated kind of synergy. At the end of the day, I think this is a book that every individual, whether you are in academia or otherwise, should read. It provides a collective holistic governance lessons, but also at the personal level, you can relate in our lives in this world. People we surround ourselves with, the advice they give you, those that you take, those that mean well for you, those that want to bring you down. At the end of the day, people will judge you as an individual.
Did you learn something new? Something you never knew about John Mahama?
A lot of things.
Give me some.
So for example, this whole issue of Mahama's resignation, I have never heard about it until I read the book. The issue of when the electoral commissioner was going to declare the results, he had to call the military to, I don't know whether it was approval or consent. And a whole lot of things. The reshuffle that happened within a minute of time. But you are also looking at this whole concept of the Northern Caucus coming together, deciding to present a Northern candidate, because in the past, Nordness has always been used as a running mate. Someone. So I think all these things are revelations that I have, and I've read a lot of books that I've never seen something like this before. So I think the more I read this book, the more I begin to understand the intricacies and the hidden dynamics of governance. Seriously speaking, when we drive past the Flagstaff House, but we actually don't know what happened inside the Flagstaff House. And this book Jubilee House,
depending on.
And this book is so revealing. I have learned a lot of things: the role of first ladies, the role of women in politics, and all those things. You know, sticking closely to the directive principle of state policy in terms of ministerial appointment, regional balance, gender balance. Why wasn't the gender balance? You are looking at the whole concept of bringing in youth. And then, technically speaking, it sets the context of who John Mahama is and how that context has influenced him, the opportunity that he has had, and the way people expected him to use the opportunity, and the way the opportunity was used. Now, everybody's talking about Imani Ghana's manifesto rankings. Manasseh did a very beautiful work of promises against delivery. In this book, at John Mahama's regime, these were the things that they promised, those on political platforms, those on their manifestos. These were those that they were able to deliver, these were those that they were not able to deliver. Power play, it is very important in every governance. You see, the government presents itself as a united front, but there are serious cracks within government, and you need to be an insider or close to an insider to be able to know this. So technically speaking, I think if you can have a book like this on every regime that has governed this country, our politics will be better.
Manasseh, now you have your work cut out for you. But you actually met with former President John Mahama in preparing this book. Tell us about that experience. First of all, I mean, how forthcoming was he?
Well, I would say he as a person is very approachable. He's one of the most tolerant politicians I know. And if you're talking about a real gentleman, he is. I met him and told him what I was doing, gave him the issues, and needed his response. And he was very forthcoming. Those he could speak to, he did, but there are certain things that as a president or he's taken an oath, so it isn't everything he could say. And those that I could quote, but those that for ABC reason, you have to keep it just to understand the context. So it was a very important engagement. And what he said to me was that, look, I have followed your works and I have seen the content of what is coming out. I don't agree with you on some of them, but I will defend your right to say them or to write them, and I wouldn't do anything to impede the publication of such a material. And if I was meeting him only as a former president, I would say maybe the man wants to come back, so he's trying to be nice. But I had the opportunity to meet him when he was even the president of this country, and I had written a lot of really in quote terrible things about him and his government.
Scathing
Yes.
things about him.
But the kind of reception former President Mahama gives me anytime I approach him is so exceptional. And I think there's a lot Ghanaians and politicians especially have to learn from him. Because we can't always agree as journalists and politicians. We are friends, but we can also be enemies in quote. But in our disagreement, we can still find a way of dealing with each other with respect, with tolerance, and accommodate each other's dissent.
And you know, I met former President Mahama for the very first time after he lost the election. I never met him while he was president. And I didn't know how he would greet me because, you know, we had just been through an entire era of challenging government while he was president. So I wondered what his view of me would be. I was very surprised when, you know, he shook my hand and called me Kojo Chichinga.
And you know, one thing that happened when I launched my Facebook, The Voice of Conscience, it was just 1 month after the Ford scandal. So there's a prominent lawyer I was speaking to, and he asked, have you invited the president? Then I laughed. So, of course, with this scandal and this revelation and all that is happening, he would be the last person I would want to invite. And what that man said, well, look, John, he calls him John. John is not like that. I can tell you, he will disagree with you, but today, John can sit down and eat with you.
Yeah.
And I was so shocked when I invited him. There was a very serious incident that day, but he sent somebody to that lunch. So in this era when people are very fearful of what they say, I think it is incumbent to celebrate such
political tolerance.
Yes, and then that's how we can move on, because our democracy has been reduced to DB, NDC and MPP. So if we the citizens are also saying, then you don't want us to talk, then you are killing the democracy.
DB Mamin Kebi. All right, now, Manasseh, I've got to ask you this, okay? I'm not at the final chapter yet. I haven't read it yet, and I don't like spoilers. But would you vote for John Mahama?
Would you vote for John Mahama? The question I would have to answer first is, would I ever vote? And that is the most disturbing aspect of our democracy. A few years back, if somebody ever mentioned to me that they don't feel like voting, I would be the first to preach to them why they should never make that mistake of not voting.
Yeah.
But as I sit here, I still am not sure whether in 2020 I will vote or not.
Well, go ahead.
I have already said 2012 I voted for John Mahama. I didn't like what he did. 2016, all my hopes were on the Messiah, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And he's been a disappointment in my view, because this is not what I ever thought an Akufo-Addo presidency would do. So now, who is next in 2020? So if you look at the very concluding part, I said a typical Ghanaian voter in 2020 will be faced with death by hanging and then death at the firing squad. If we have to choose between Akufo-Addo and then John Mahama.
What a thought. But I've got to say that as an institution, we will absolutely encourage Ghanaians to exercise their civic duty and vote.
Can I just say a little
bit? But I doubt there is any Ghanaian who doesn't understand where Manasseh is coming from. But let's be clear that we certainly want Ghanaians to exercise their civic duty. That's what makes democracy meaningful. But wahala.
Okay, Kojo, as a student of politics, I will encourage people to go out and vote. I understand perfectly people's reservations about politicians and politics in this country. I often share those kind of reservations. But voting serves two purposes. One, we can vote to endorse, but we can also vote to protest. If you are comfortable with the situation, you are happy with what is going on, you are so comfortable, you know that you are being led well, then you can vote to reward. That is endorsement. If you are not so happy about what's going on, you can also vote to punish. So whichever way, you have to go out to either protest or endorse. But people say now, it's only two parties that can win. How about if I don't like these two parties, they're all the same? You can still send a message. If you all vote for maybe a third option, then the two parties will know that people are now becoming fed up with it. So it's a way of punishing them. So we can still vote.
Okay,
that is really not what he meant. But Manasseh, tell us where we can get copies of your book.
Well, there are copies here at JoyFM, the front desk of JoyFM, the University of Ghana bookshop, and all Kingdom Books outlets too. I also do deliveries. I have a delivery team, and my social media pages have those information, and a number of Shell shops would soon get copies. Currently, we have some at Airport Shell, Tema Hospital Road Shell 2, and then Airport Extension. We're trying to get some there. So these are the copies, and sometimes I do some book signing at strategic places. So within this period, I do signings at Uncle White Show. Yeah. So whoever is attending the Festival of Plays, I have a section at the National Theatre where I autograph copies. So a copy goes for 100 Ghana cedis, And I also have copies of The Voice of Conscience and Letters to My Future Wife.
I forgot you can also order one on online Amazon.
Yes, Amazon. Yes. That's also very important because we have people who are outside of this country.
Yeah.
And somebody said he ordered one in Japan, Amazon, and it came in 2 days.
Nice.
So sometimes it's even
quicker.
But there are also some in the regions, well, I am still not used to the 16 regions.
But there are 16.
Yes. So the previous 10 regions, we have copies in all of those regions, and the information is on my Facebook page.
Right. And I had hoped we could do the phone lines today. Perhaps we can do it tomorrow. On Monday. I don't see why not. People can still call and win some copies of The Fourth John, the latest book by Manasseh Azure Awini. Thank you both for making the time to be here, Dr. Saidu Alidu and Manasseh. God bless you. We appreciate your work very much. All right. So, our friends from actually, this is interesting. Do you like BMWs? Did you know there's a BMW club in Ghana? Yeah. Well, they're going to be here to tell us all about what they're doing and what they're up to this Christmas season. So, get your driving gloves on. We're back after these.